And now I will also take a moment to share this up on Facebook so that the people there can also have access to it. So, yeah, in the coming days, we're going to, you can book the Europe trip. You can actually book right now, and I'll get to that at the end, how to actually sign up. All travel, I would say, in the last few years has gotten unnecessarily complicated because many countries now you actually need to do a electronic visa to go, and that includes going to countries like England and Australia and places where they speak English. It doesn't really matter. It's not about language. It's about the fact that travel has gotten unnecessarily complicated in the last few years, where you did not need to have any kind of visas before. Unfortunately, now you do. And it also, unfortunately, in the last year and a half in particular, as the dollar has been hammered overseas, travel to many countries has become more expensive than it was just a few years ago because of, and we are up on Facebook now. It has become a little bit more expensive because of the exchange rate. So um, that unfortunately is part of the experience and part of why this is a little bit more expensive now than it was, but it was also 11 years ago, and everything's more expensive. But we do want to share, and I'm going to post up right now, um, our information about our trip. I'm going to take you through the itinerary of the trip right now, as well as kind of look at what we're going to see and the places that we're going to go to on this trip. And as I mentioned, it was really kind of designed based on some work I had done to try to figure out a good itinerary. And then, as I said, this is based on some of what we learned um, from our 2015 trip, which followed a similar itinerary, with the exception that we did not have this Poland extension at the end of it, which is a Poland extension that I did as well. So we are working with Isram World, which is the company that we worked with 11 years ago. They've been around for many, many years, now going into 60 years. And they have a lot of experience with they were called Isram because they were Israel America, but they for many years have also done other destinations. And creating a Jewish heritage trip was something they have worked with other groups over the years in these countries. They've focused a lot in the last couple of years, Islam World, with doing trips to Croatia and some other locations that have become really popular now in the last few years, especially Croatia, but Greece, which is still a really popular destination. But they do have trips to Europe, and this trip kind of follows that. One thing that was really important was finding a company that we could work with that would have a price that would be consistent with what we needed it to be, because there are other companies that do similar trips, but they were in the 10, $11,000 range, and I said that's just too expensive for a 10, 11 day trip. I mean, we need to really keep it close to about $600 a day, and I basically told them that. I said, if it's more than that, it's too expensive. And so they really did work on a price for the time that we're there that's pretty close to that. Um, and so, that was really one of the key things. The closest that I found a trip that is similar to this in an itinerary and length of time is a trip that Tauk Tours does, or maybe it was Abercrombie and Kent, and it was about $11,000. 10 and a half, $11,000 or $11,500, something in that range. So this trip was definitely not in that price range. And again, those are for-profit companies. The itinerary um, is following kind of a U shape that starts in Berlin and goes from Berlin down to uh, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Krakow, and then for people that are going to continue with the extension back up to Warsaw. So it's really a U shape. Berlin and Warsaw are almost literally on the same latitude. Don't think about it like that, but they are. But going down and around is allows us to kind of follow and to visit some really important cities um, for the Jewish community. It's not a coincidence. These cities were connected by rivers, and so the Danube that connects Vienna and Budapest, for example, is beautiful river, and there are river cruises that connect these cities. But they don't connect all these cities because they're not all on the same rivers. So you can't really do a river cruise through these places. You can do some of them, but you can't do all of them. And so in a way, these cities were major cities of Jewish life. Um, really, unfortunately, up until World War II, some of them have had a vital and really exciting rebirth, and those are some of the things that we're gonna see. So, on our arrival, we come to Berlin. That's where we fly into, and again, people arrange their own flights to Berlin. The important thing there is, of course, that you get there on June 23rd. It's the day that we essentially start our trip. The reason we don't do airfare is because people use their own miles, they use their own programs, they find their own stuff, and quite frankly, tour companies can't really get cheaper airfare anymore. There's no block airfare that is cheap. It actually is oftentimes more expensive. All they do is just lock in a bunch of tickets, but they're not cheaper. They're actually more expensive than what people can find on their own now with the different travel sites. So there's no advantage to do it. And as a matter of fact, people would be like, why is this ticket more, $100 more than what I can get? And that's because, yeah, they give you a block, but it's not cheaper. So there's no like, well, we gave you a group discount. It's not a group discount anymore. The model doesn't work like that anymore. So um, we start in Berlin, and if you come in roughly around the same time that our arrival will be, and we'll let people know when, kind of like the window to come in, your transfer from the airport to the hotel will be covered. And so that is that's the first day. Excuse me, that's the 22nd. I totally messed up right now. That's the 22nd. That's the day that you actually come in. So again, if you come in roughly in the afternoon on that day, and it'll give people the exact times, there'll be somebody literally with a sign getting you onto a bus to the hotel. We're staying at the Marriott Berlin City Center, which is a really nice hotel. It's the breakfasts are included on every day, but the hotel in Berlin is a really nice hotel. It's a great location, and that day, we're going to actually go to the Berlin Jewish Museum, which that's our bus, by the way. I forgot to show you that graphic.
Mhm.
Yeah, here's our bus. And by the way, somebody asked a question about the buses. The buses are all about 3 to 4 years old. They wouldn't tell me exactly how old they are yet, but they said none of them are older than 4 years old. So they're deluxe buses, and they're very comfortable. Berlin. So the day we get in there, that day, we're actually going to go in the afternoon to the Berlin Jewish Museum, which is this museum here, which is a phenomenal museum about Jewish history. It's not just about the Holocaust. It actually has some wonderful history going back 1,000 years to the beginning of Ashkenaz. So it's a very modern, high-tech museum. It's also got some beautiful and very powerful um, testaments to the Holocaust, but it's not just a Holocaust museum. It's actually follows the full experience of German Jewish experience, exhibits about Moses Mendelssohn and some of the beginnings of Jewish emancipation in Germany. So it's a very interesting museum, beautiful beautiful museum, fairly new. And then we're also going to be uh, we'll be there to see the Holocaust Memorial, which is a very famous memorial in Berlin as well. But the next day we'll be there in Berlin as well for a full day tour, which will include the Oranienburger Synagogue, um, which is this building down here, which is was partially destroyed during Kristallnacht, but enough of it survived so that they were able to rebuild it and create an amazing restoration of a synagogue that's about 200 years old. The reason that some synagogues survived Kristallnacht was if they were attached to buildings next door, uh, those synagogues were oftentimes spared. If they were freestanding buildings, they were oftentimes they did not survive that weekend. But the synagogue that we're going to see in Berlin is a functioning synagogue. If we're able to, if she's around, we'll meet the rabbi of that synagogue, who I've met several times, and so we'll hopefully you'll definitely see what's going on in the synagogue now, and we'll have a chance to meet some of the Jewish community in Berlin, which is a vibrant Jewish community. There's tens of thousands of Jews that live there now. Many people, many Israelis live there. Many Jews from the former Soviet Union live there. It's a very vibrant Jewish community today. We'll also have a chance to see some of the other parts that are really important to see in Berlin. Berlin has an amazing cultural scene. We'll go to the Museum Island, which is they're redoing some of the museums there, but we'll have a chance to see what's opened right now at Museum Island. Some of the museums there, like um, the Pergamum Museum, the Alta National Gallery, the Bode Museum. There's several museums there. There's always some museums that are open. Some are being renovated right now, but we'll go to Museum Island, and then we'll also be able to go to some of the other important squares, the plazas in Berlin, as they call it, the Platz. The Plaza. We'll go to the Potsdamer Platz. We'll go to Alexanderplatz, and we'll also go to Checkpoint Charlie, which is the remains of that border that went through. We'll be able to see the remnants, the last remnants of the Berlin Wall, and you'll have a chance to see where the city was at one point divided between East and West. So Berlin is a fascinating city. We'll have a chance to meet some of the Jewish leaders in the city, and we'll also have a chance to meet some people who are involved in the art scene, who are reclaiming Jewish history. Some of those people are not Jewish, and they're very involved in kind of helping to revive and remember the Jewish identity, especially in Berlin, which had a very vibrant Jewish community during the Weimar Republic. And so it's amazing to see what's going on in Berlin. It's a really fascinating city. We have a lot of good vegetarian restaurants in Berlin. Many. I'm saying that to Rick, not to Addie, to Rick. No, Addie might like them too. I don't know. Um, but Rick would like them. So uh next, after we leave, yes, any question? Does someone have a question about? Okay,
You know
so
what fake meat products they use?
I do actually. No, there's some really good places there. Um, and yeah, and again, the hotel is in a really great area, so you can go out at night and explore and check out some of the restaurants in that area. Um, so we actually have 2 nights there, so you'll have 2 nights to kind of enjoy the Berlin nightlife. It's a funky city, man. There's some stuff there that is still it's kind of mind blowing. It's a city that definitely pushes the envelope in music and other stuff as well. It's a very vibrant city, but it's kind of a trippy place. But I love it actually. I love Berlin. And from there, from Berlin the next day, we're going to depart towards Prague. And on the way to Prague, we stop at this place right here, which is for some people going to be the first concentration camp that they've ever been to. And this was an interesting camp because it wasn't just a camp, but it was also a ghetto. And so you'll actually be able to see both a camp and a ghetto. And there aren't many examples of that. This is Theresen, also known as Theresienstadt. But Theresen was the camp. Theresienstadt, the city, was turned into a Jewish ghetto. And what was so interesting about Theresen is that it was also a place where they had this experimental thing, you would say, maybe, which is they allowed Jews to continue to do the arts there, to pursue music and visual graphic arts. And so there were many artists that were in Theresen, and Nazis kind of used it to show the West and the rest of the world that they weren't massacring every Jew. Now, of course, many of the Jews were being massacred in Terezin, but it appeared that it was kind of a functioning and vibrant ghetto. But the poetry and the art, in some cases, was the only thing that survived from Terezin because many of the people there were murdered. There are survivors from Terezin, people who were teenagers who were maybe taken to work camps, but there is you will go at Terezin to the death camp or the concentration camp that was next door. So there was a ghetto and a camp there at Terezin, and so you'll see that. Um, and again, it's Terezin is the art that came out of there includes things like the poem I never saw another butterfly. That came out of
Mm.
Terezin. And so um, that will be for many people that will be the first camp that they have ever been to. You want to say something, John? Oh, they were going to say something. Um, so
No, no, I didn't.
okay, so from
Although was Schwartz from
no, no, she is from Hungary, who was from Terezin, who was on that trip. Her mother, actually, Sarah Horn's mother, was a survivor of Terezin, and she survived. I mean, she's passed a few years ago, but she lived almost to be 100, and she was a survivor. So she was there, and that was the first time that she visited where her mother was kept in a camp, in the ghetto. So from Terezin. Oh, I did not put the picture of Prague. The picture of Prague is on our website. Um, from there, we're going to go to Prague, and the first night that we're there, we're going to be able to go out into the city center and see some of uh, really what's an amazing city. And people who've gone to Prague will some people think it's one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. Um, the next day, we have a full day exploring Prague, where we're going to go to the Jewish Quarter. We're going to go to see the Alt New Synagogue, which is where the Golem was made, the original Golem. Well, the original Golem of Judah Low, uh, where he built the Golem and the attic that he was allegedly kept when he was asleep, when he was just clay. But the golem has become kind of the mascot of the city of Prague, not just for Jews. You see golem, tchotchkes all over the place. But Prague is also has amazing churches. We're going to go to see some of the in the Jewish quarter. We're going to see the cemetery, and we'll also see four of the synagogues there. But when we go into the rest of Prague, we'll have a chance to see uh, some of the churches and the Prague Castle, and we have enough time. We're going to go to St. Vitus Cathedral. We'll have a chance to see several things in Prague that are because we're there for 2 days. We'll have a chance to see quite a bit of both the Jewish sites and also the city sites, if you will, the historic sites of Prague. Prague has also got an interesting history because for us as Jews and also for people of the West, it was also the city where Franz Kafka lived for much of his unfortunately too short life, and so there's quite a lot of Kafka-esque stuff there. Well, it's really Kafka's stuff. No, it's not even Kafka-esque. It's really Kafka. So it's there's quite a lot of Kafka in Prague as well. And Prague is really just an amazing city. Beautiful art, beautiful architecture, and you'll have a chance to see both the Jewish sites there and also, as I said, the Bohemian art and the St. Vitus Church and the Prague Castle. The things that people say you have to see in Prague, they'll also be there. And that's an important thing to say about this trip is that it definitely covers all of the important sites that we have in the Jewish community, but it's not like we're only going to see Jewish sites. There's also going to be several important cultural sites that we'll see in these cities. I can tell you that if there's an important cultural site there, we will be there. Any questions about Prague? I should have had more pictures of Prague there. I apologize. Um, so um, we'll have a chance uh, on Friday night, June 26th, to celebrate Shabbat. We have dinner that night on Friday night, and um, we'll have a chance to dinner is included that night. But who knows? Maybe if Rick and Addie are on this trip, we'll also have some music in Prague. I don't know, but we we'll be in a beautiful place, a beautiful space for that. And we'll also be meeting some of the Jewish community in Prague as well. And the next day, we actually travel to Vienna. And Vienna is not far. It's a very short drive from Prague to Vienna. But in Vienna, we're going to have a chance to also see some amazing architecture. It's a beautiful city. It was a city that was also spared, like Prague, from destruction during World War II. There are not many cities that were spared the levels of destruction that Prague and Vienna. Vienna, just in a strange way, because the Nazis abandoned Vienna and the Soviets didn't destroy it, which they did with a lot of the cities that they captured from the Nazis. So Vienna was spared that destruction. And so when we look at Vienna today, there are several structures and several places to visit in Vienna that are absolutely amazing, breathtaking places like the the Schönbrunn Palace, Hofburg Castle, um, the Belvedere Museum, which is where that Klimt painting is that's here in the middle. The Belvedere has the best collection of Gustav Klimt's art, so we'll be there as well. And we'll also have a chance to visit the the Vienna Jewish Museum. We'll also have a chance to go to the house that Sigmund Freud spent his life in until he was chased out by the Nazis and fled to England. So Vienna was a very important city for several Jews during the early part of the 20th century, including Freud. It had an amazing the universities in Vienna and the scholarship in Vienna was really it was one of the most advanced cities until the Anschluss, until the Nazis took over. But there's still amazing cultural and historic things to see because again, it was not destroyed when the Nazis fled and the Soviets came in. So we'll have a chance in Vienna to see some of that. We'll have a chance again to go to St. Stephen's Cathedral, which is down here. And we may have a chance, depending on, again, how things go over the next few months. I assume we'll have a chance the night that we're in Vienna, which is Saturday night, that we'll have a chance to see a concert either that night or the next night. Sunday night we'll be there as well. Sunday is actually the day that we're going to go to the Schönbrunn Palace. But we leave Sunday from Vienna to go to Budapest. And so we're in Vienna kind of like 2 full days, a half a day the first day, a full day, and then another like half day. So it's really we get like 2 full days of being in Vienna, and we'll have a good chance to see a lot of Vienna. And again, same thing with Prague. It comes out to be about 2 full days that we're in Prague, a little over actually in Prague. And then when we get to Hungary, when we get to Budapest, we're actually going to be able to be there Sunday night. In and we're going to we're going to have a chance on Sunday night to to kind of get acclimated to see some of the Jewish life that exists in Budapest today. And there's tens of thousands again, about I think about 40 Jews that just live in Budapest. There's several functioning synagogues. We're going to go to the synagogue on the next day, but on the day that we arrive, we'll have a chance to walk around, and we may have a visit from our friend Adrian and Daniel Levine. Adrian usually goes back to Hungary during the summer, and they texted me the other day that they're going to be there, hopefully when we're in Hungary, and so we'll have a chance to see some of our Temple Beth Ami family that knows Hungary very well and can explain what's going on in Hungary currently. Their child, their son Elliot, who a lot of people got to know when he was growing up at our temple, they moved to Texas about 10 years ago now. Uh, Seven, eight, no, about 9 years ago, something like that, almost 10 years ago. But Elliot lives there now. And so hopefully we'll be able to see also how young adults, how young people in their 20s are living in Hungary as well now today. So we'll have a chance on that. What will be, sorry, it will be Monday night. We'll have a chance on Monday night to actually do a cruise on the Danube River in front of the Parliament building here. The one of the most famous parts of Budapest is the beautiful Parliament building. We'll have a chance to go there. But earlier that day, we're going to go into the Jewish quarter of Budapest, and we'll spend a good part of the day exploring the Dohány Synagogue, which is one of the most beautiful synagogues in the world. The Dohány Synagogue is gorgeous. There's also Holocaust memorials on the synagogue premises, which also functions as a JCC. It's a massive site, the synagogue, and you'll have a chance to meet the rabbi of Budapest, the head rabbi, who's also the rabbi of the Dohány Synagogue, and we'll have a chance to see the synagogue and the center there. The a city again. This is a beautiful, beautiful city, Budapest. You'll have a chance over those couple of days to explore at night, to see some of the nightlife and see some of the restaurants there. Their their vegetarian scene is not as good. Vienna's is kind of in between Berlin's and Budapest. Budapest, I think, had the worst. Prague's was okay, a little bit higher than Budapest, but um, yeah, they have I'm sure, other foods that people like in Budapest, but yeah, maybe it's gotten better. I haven't been there in a few years, so maybe they've gotten better in Budapest, but very nice people, and um, the city is gorgeous, and the river, the Danube River down below here, one of the bridges that goes across, is just gorgeous. And we'll have a chance to go on a night cruise, an evening cruise along the Danube, which is really one of the most important kind of things to do when you're in Budapest, to go down the beautiful Danube River, the blue Danube. So, as we make our way back out of Europe on Tuesday, we drive from Budapest to Krakow. Now, this is a decent drive. I mean, this is the longest drive that we have. Berlin to Prague is about 3.5, 4 hours, but remember, we're stopping in Terezin on the way, and it kind of breaks it up. The drive from Budapest to Krakow takes us over the Tatras Mountains. So we're going to go over here, and it's not like a windy, it's not one of those really terribly windy roads, but it is going up and down. And so it does take a little bit longer than it looks. So that's more of like a 5.5, 6 hour drive that day. We'll stop a couple of times on the way, but it is the longest drive, is the drive from Budapest to Krakow. So that's a drive that takes us much of that day, but we are going to drive through the Tatras Mountains, which are gorgeous. I mean, it's a beautiful drive. It's not a it's a beautiful drive to see. And during the summer, it's people are hiking there because it's just beautiful mountains. But when we come down into Krakow, you'll see again how the climate and how the terrain changes as we come into the kind of the plains of Poland. So Krakow is where the trip ends, unless you are going to continue on with the extension, which I'll explain. But first, let me tell you what we're going to do at Krakow. Very important. So Krakow. Oh, I meant to tell you. I didn't go through all the hotels that we're staying at. You can see the information about the hotels on the website, which I'm going to share with people right now. But we're staying at the Continental in Budapest. And when we come into Krakow, this is the city that is, for us, it's a very important city. It's a beautiful city in its own right. It has some beautiful architecture. The day we get in, the night we get in, you'll have a chance to walk around the Krakow plazas. Um, it is we're staying there at the Holiday Inn, which I know sounds like the Holiday Inn actually in Krakow is one of the nicer hotels in Krakow. It's got a great location and it's also just a really nice hotel. I've stayed there before and it's very nice. Um, and again, you go to different countries and different brands have a whole different kind of, it's a whole different kind of thing. So Krakow Hotel is right in the center of town and it's a nice hotel. And that full day we're there, the first full day we're there, we're going to go to we're going to see the Jewish sites of Krakow, which include this amazing area, plaza called the Kazimierz District, which includes synagogues, it includes a cemetery, it also includes kind of now these kind of vibrant Jewish centers, um, institutions there. Um, well, I'll come back to that. Later in the afternoon that day, we're going to go to the Plazov camp, which was where Schindler's factory was. Schindler's factory, the building in that area has been rebuilt, so it's not exactly the same, but there is a museum there, and they explain to you what happened with the real story of Schindler's List. And the Plazov camp, the place where the people lived, is the remnants of it are still there, and so we will go to that camp. We will go to that place. Um, yeah, for some reason, because that movie was so powerful, being in that place is very powerful. But I don't know why, other than because that movie was so powerful, that being there really it's a powerful experience.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
last time we couldn't get in. Are we getting in this time?
Yeah, they were renovating it for about a year. And yeah, but it's open and 100 we checked. It's 100% open. And you're talking about the museum and the building that they had there. So, um, yeah, it's a very emotional place. I mean, I kind of lost it there for some reason. I don't know why I was so emotional at that place, but being in that place, I don't know. And I had been there before, but it was very hard. Um, but so we'll be there. But then later on that night, we're going to come back to the Casimir's because the reason that we're doing this trip at this time of year is because this is the time when the Warsaw Jewish Festival goes on. It's sometimes called the Klezmer Festival, but it's a huge Jewish festival of music. And you remember it, John. It was crazy, right? Thousands of people crowd into the plaza at night for a Jewish music festival.
It was wonderful.
And it's very inspiring. And the reason that we did this is because we said, look, we're going to be here on a tour where there's going to be a lot of difficult days, a lot of difficult things. And how do you finish a tour like that without just being totally despondent? And one of the ways is to surround ourselves with vibrant Jewish life, Jewish music, seeing that Polish Jewish community is clawing itself back. It's trying to find a new voice. It's trying to celebrate what was such an important Jewish community. The next day is a visit to Auschwitz, and again, arguably the most difficult day of the trip. Now, that is pretty much the whole day. That's Thursday, July 2nd. But as we get to Thursday and Friday, Thursday night, we'll be back in the festival grounds, and uh, it's one of the most vibrant nights of the festival. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights are the nights that the kind of the festival comes to a conclusion. It always happens around 4th of July. I mean, it was not chosen for that reason, but that was it, it always happens around that time. So I don't have the lineup yet. They haven't announced the lineup, but I have been in touch with the organizer of the festival, and I just confirmed with him that it was still going to be going on that weekend. And as we get closer, we're going to probably learn who the musicians are. Oftentimes, have some of the top klezmer musicians from around the world will come there for it, and it's just a really uplifting thing. So we'll have a couple of nights to be able to be there. You know, we'll see which concerts and which things we'll be able to do, but there's things all over the area of Krakow. So sometimes we might go to more of a of a of a cantorial type piece, or maybe we'll go to we might go to a more of a klezmer piece. But there's several events that go on there over the course of over those days. So the festival goes on for about a week. I think it's actually almost 10 days, I think. And it's just it concludes at that time, and it concludes with the really big gatherings in the square. So that's why we're doing it this time of year. So when we're done in Krakow, what we're going to do is now some people have the option of going home, flying home from Krakow, uh, and I have no idea what the percentage of people who say this is enough. I've got to go back. I've been away long enough, and that's where we ended the trip last time. But I knew that there were people who would want to go for the next 3 days to experience and to learn a little bit more about the Polish community. So for people who are going to stay there for the extension, and the extension for those days, for the extra days in Poland is another $1,800. So it is I mean it's roughly about the same amount of about $600 per day for those other days. But there are 3 full days of touring. And so let me explain. For people who are going to go, we're going to do this final journey from Krakow to Warsaw over a couple of days. The first day, we're going to drive from Krakow via Tarnow and go see one of the important cities uh, of the unfortunately for people that were going to Auschwitz. But Tarnow had a very big Jewish community. Well, at one point, we're going to be able to see the synagogue in Tarnow. And then from there, we're going to stay in Zamość, Poland, which has an amazing quarter of, um, sorry, I'm going to go back to Poland. There's Tarnow, the synagogue in the square in Tarnow. But Zamość is even more kind of like ridiculous in a way because the city survived the war and it was built with a Renaissance and Italian style. Um, And so the people who built Zamość up in the 1600s decided to kind of build this city, which has now become a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I happen to have gone there. It was a major city for the Jewish community in the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s. It's a city where Yud Lamet Peretz, the great Yiddish writer, came from. Rosa Luxemburg, who was one of the leaders of the international workers movement. She came from Zamość. My family came from nearby Zamość. That was kind of the big city for people who lived in that area around Zamość, the villages. Zamość was kind of the big city for them. And it was a synagogue survived in Zamość, which we'll have a chance to visit the synagogue and see the mikveh, which goes back to the 1600s. So Zamość is a really interesting city. We're going to stay overnight there at the Artis Hotel. And from there, from Zamość, we're going to be driving about an hour and a half to the city of Lublin, which was at one point one of the major cities of the Jewish community in Poland. And remember, in 1939, when the Nazis invaded, the city of Warsaw was about 10%, 15% Jewish. The whole country of Poland was roughly about 10% Jewish. There were cities in Poland like Lublin that were over 50% Jewish. The town that my family was from in Krasnobrod was 70% Jewish. I mean, we just can't even imagine what kind of you know what kind of what kind of sense of what that meant for a community to be 50, 60% Jewish. We go to New York and go, oh, wow, it's a very Jewish city. It's 10% Jewish. You imagine a city that's 70% Jewish or 60% Jewish. So Lublin was a center for study. There were yeshivas in Lublin. It was essentially, they called it during the 16, 1700s the Jewish Oxford. And we'll have a chance to see the the synagogue and the yeshivas, the stuff that survived. Jews have come back and rebuilt some of those synagogues, reclaimed them. There aren't a lot of Jews that live in Lublin other than the people who want to go to those places and study in the same buildings where the Jose of Lublin, the seer of Lublin, lived. So, some of the people who are from Poland wrote about this amazing city, and the people who live there, like Isaac Bashevis Singer, wrote a story about the seer of Lublin. Um, it was a major city, and so we'll have a chance to see um, the city and see what's left of the buildings that survived and that have been reclaimed by the Jewish community. And so um, when we go to Lublin, um, we don't stay overnight. We'll leave later in the afternoon, late in the afternoon after we're done touring, and we come to Warsaw. And so we spend that night at the hotel in Warsaw. The reason we don't stay in Lublin is, quite frankly, there's not a lot of nice hotels in that area. It's not really a tourist city. Zamość is still a city that has some tourists. I wouldn't say a lot, but they have some tourists because it's a UNESCO site. Um, Lublin doesn't really have like tourist hotels there. But Warsaw does. And Warsaw, when we stay overnight, we're staying at the Sofitel Hotel in Warsaw, the Sofitel Victoria Hotel. I think there's a couple of Sofitels, but the one we're staying at, the Warsaw Victoria Hotel, almost everything in Warsaw was destroyed during World War II. There's virtually nothing you can see in Warsaw that's from the pre-war period. Almost everything was destroyed. People are disappointed when they come to Warsaw because there's not a lot to see from the Jewish community. They want to see the Warsaw Ghetto. They want to see where it was. You can see where it was, and there's literally a piece of wall that's about this long, maybe this long, which is about the only thing that they'll show you from the Warsaw Ghetto because everything else was destroyed. But the entire city of Warsaw was destroyed because the Warsaw Ghetto uprising happened. People don't know this necessarily, but the Warsaw Ghetto uprising happened with a general Warsaw uprising and strike that was led by the Polish resistance as well. And the Nazis put it down and completely destroyed the city. So there was virtually no buildings left. It was rebuilt during the communist era, and needless to say, it was not built with a great deal of aesthetic charm. And so Warsaw is a little disappointing of Polish cities. It's not a city. Why are you laughing?
Mine is Anchorage.
Yeah, it's not a city where you go, wow, what a city. And it's unfortunate because before the war, it had beautiful buildings, it had beautiful plazas, it had beautiful architecture, and it was all destroyed. And people are disappointed because they don't really see a lot of of what Poland looked like before the war. However, about 15 years ago, they built a beautiful building, which I went to just as it was being built. It was like opened, but not, there was nothing to see yet in it. And that's the Polin Museum. The Polin Museum is something that we will be spending quite a bit of time on. It's an amazing museum, one of the greatest museums, I think, of Jewish history in the world. And they built it in Poland, in Warsaw, because for 1,000 years, Poland was a haven for Jews. And so many Jews lived in Poland that, again, when Poland was conquered by the Russians, they all became Russian citizens. But Poland was really the country that let Jews settle there for a very long time. And while it wasn't always easy. And there were sometimes terrible pogroms, mainly by people from Ukraine and from parts of Europe that were not Catholic, that were not Polish. Jews were oftentimes caught in the middle of that political mess. But for a long time, for hundreds of years, Poland was the heartland of Ashkenazi Judaism. And so the Pauline Museum, excuse me, it keeps that alive. It's kind of showcasing the so this picture down here is inside the Pauline Museum, but you know what, I'm going to show you some other pictures of it. It is a gorgeous building, and it's a gorgeous and very innovative um museum in the way that it portrays and preserves the Jewish history in Poland. I'll just show you a couple of the pictures because I was like trying to take one picture and say, well, this is a picture that you'll be able to see the museum, but uh, it doesn't do it justice. So these are some pictures. These are some of the interior pictures. That's not far from where we are, but there's exhibits which kind of help you visualize what a city in a Jewish area in Poland would have looked like in some of the cities like Warsaw or Lublin. Let me just show you some of that's the remains of one of the synagogues that they were able to bring into the Pauline Museum, some of the synagogues that survived World War II. This is the outside. Again, gives you another idea of the visually stunning architecture of this place. So yeah, the Jewish community of, by the way, many survivors who came to America and to England funded this museum. It's important, obviously, for Polish citizens to come in and learn about their history and to learn about what was taken from them. But the museum also is vitally important to see if you have ancestors like I and like many of us who lived in Poland. So yeah, it's a really amazing Jewish museum, one of the best Jewish museums in the world. So that is where we finished the trip in Warsaw. And for those who are going to go back and finish from there, you'll be departing back from Warsaw on July 7th. That'll be Tuesday, July 7th. So those extra days, you'll be in Krakow for an extra night. Or no, sorry, you'll be in Zamość for one extra night and Warsaw for 2 nights. So it's a total of 3 hotel nights that you'd be in in Poland for. That would be Saturday night, the 4th. Um, sorry, no. Friday night, the 3rd, you'd be there in Zamość one night. Second night, you'd be there on the 4th in Zamość, and then um, the last 2 nights in Warsaw. So it's 4 nights. It's actual 4 nights of hotels. The 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, departing on the 7th. So yes, it's 4 nights. So that is important to know that again, what's included is uh, not airfare. It should not say airfare is not included. The hotels, the guides, the entrance fees, breakfast and transportation to and from the airports, and also Shabbat dinner. So yeah, airfare is not included. Um, uh, there it is, a little bit better said. So airfare is not included. Obviously all the internal travel is, but um, so that's where it says it correctly. Airfare is not included. Lunches and most dinners, passport and insurance fees, travel insurance. People ask me about that all the time. I don't know what to tell you. I, I I can recommend travel insurance companies that people have used, but I also know that some people have had a hard time collecting travel insurance if they've gotten it. If you want to give, uh, it's customary to give tips to the guides and to the drivers. You don't necessarily have it to give it to hotel personnel unless somebody does something for you. Um, but yeah, pretty much those things are at your discretion. And when people ask, what do we do about currency? I will say it's still a little bit of a mess because only two countries use the euro that we're going to, Germany and Austria. Um, Czech Republic has its own, Hungary has its own, and Poland has its own. Now, I will tell you, maybe in Poland, because we're there for like almost a week of the trip is in Poland, you might want to get zlotys. You don't have to unless you want to tip people and just give them cash. In almost every other place, you only are going to probably be buying meals and gifts, in which case you can use your credit cards. It definitely doesn't make sense to take out cash just for a day or two in these places, and you don't have to. Every place takes credit cards now. If a credit card doesn't charge a foreign fee, it's even better. And I definitely recommend not doing that. If you do want to take out, for example, zlotys or euros, because euros you can use in other countries when you're done. I mean, there's no other place to use a Czech koruna other than in Czech Republic. There's no other place to use a foreign unless you're in Hungary. If you want to get out euros, I still recommend using an ATM and getting them out while you're there. You don't have to pay the exchange rate on the ATM. If you use a bank ATM, will usually be very fair. You have to be careful what kind of ATMs you use, but you have to be careful what kind of ATMs you use in America too. If you use a bank ATM, and you can ask the guides, is this a bank ATM? They'll tell you. Um, you can just do that. And I definitely don't recommend loading up on currency before you go. It's not necessary, and I tell you that anywhere you go, whether you're going to Israel or wherever you're going, you don't need to get currency ahead of time. And plus, when you change it back, you're going to lose on that too. So don't get it unless you need it. And the only way you really know is if you're there. And like I said, you can go to an ATM and get out cash if you need to. By the way, most of these other countries, they'll accept euros. Some of them will accept dollars, but euros are accepted usually in Czech Republic and Hungary because people there travel all the time. And so, if you tell them, hey, I only have euros, you can oftentimes do stuff with the euros as well. So I always think if you're going to get out any kind of cash, have it be a euro rather than some of the other stuff. And I tell people that the same thing when they go to Britain, because Britain, England uses its own currency and they don't use the euro. And so they're, why, if you're not going back to England a lot, doesn't make any sense to get that. Um, and so I definitely recommend using an ATM and to only take out currency if you need to. Um, what else was I going to tell you? So that is pretty much um, what we were going to say about. Oh wait, you didn't even get to see, or maybe did you get to see that last thing? I don't know if I shared the, if I shared the, I don't think I shared that. Those last pieces of the slideshow. Apologize, but we do have, like I said, if you want to sign up for the trip now, which you can go onto the website and you can um, well, either do it online through these book now buttons, or you can hit print and mail, and you can do a check and send in a check, or uh, put your credit card information on paper and send it in uh, so that it gets processed that way. Um, it's very simple. Again, if people are traveling by themselves and want to pay the single supplement, there is a single supplement fee for it. It's again because you're basically getting a room by yourself. Um, I will say that if you don't want to pay a single supplement and you're willing to share a room with somebody, in the past we have matched people up and we do it on every trip, and we'll probably be doing it on this trip as well. You can request that, and I can't guarantee it, but if we are able to match up people, this is not a dating trip, but it is available for people to be matched up with a partner. Somebody here?
Should we leave the gate open?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
just double check.
yeah. Thank you. No one else came in though, right?
No.
Okay, thanks. Um, the single supplement for this trip is $1,900. And it's, again, the reason why it's optional is because you don't need it unless you're traveling by yourself and you want to travel by yourself. So there is a single supplement for the Warsaw Lublin part, which is $350. So if you were traveling by yourself for everything, you'd have to tick off everything if you wanted a single room. So that's the most expensive trip. There's no other hidden costs other than, again, taking care of your airfare is not included, but there are no other costs if you're traveling by yourself. But if you went to all of these things, if you ticked off all these boxes, then the trip would come out to about 10,000, which again would be for the entire trip, for the 13 days of the trip, 14 days of the trip. So that's if you're a single supplement and you're traveling for the entire time. So again, I cannot, uh, I
Got a
cannot,
question.
I cannot recommend or discuss tax implications, but of course, as you're paying for this trip, it is being billed by a nonprofit. So you can decide how you claim your taxes at the end of the year. I have nothing to do with that. But yes, the payments are going to the Jewish Life Foundation through the Jewish Life Foundation. And so, yes, technically speaking, you're paying a nonprofit organization. John, yes, question.
Hold on, I got to mute everything.
Okay.
Is there Wi-Fi on the bus?
Yes, there is Wi-Fi on the bus. The question of whether it always works when you're going over the Tatras Mountains, uh, not positive. But I will tell you this: there are only 2 days when the bus trip is more than about 2 hours. Most of the drives are not that bad. The drive over the Tatras Mountains is the longest one. It is a good day. I mean, it feels like a day of driving. It's like driving from San Diego to San Francisco. I would now say even LA to San Francisco. It's like going from San Diego to San Francisco as far as the time you're in, time traveling, and just kind of like what it feels like. It feels like it. So, but yes, the buses do have Wi-Fi, and they're very. I mean, somebody asked me this question actually. Bob Hochberg asked me about what the conditions of the buses were. So I asked. I would not have asked otherwise, but I did ask, and I mean they were fine when we went 15 years or whatever 11 years ago, but I was pretty sure they would be good, and yes, they're good. There will be a guide with us the entire time. We have a guide with us who's with us from the moment we get into Berlin to when we leave Poland. And then each city, there will also be individual guides for those cities who are experts on the Jewish community on those cities. So in Prague, we have a different guide who comes with us during that day. And again, if we're in, like we are in Prague for 2 days, they'll be with us those 2 days. But so each city, we have our own special guides for those cities. So the guide who's with us is there to help us and to be with us throughout the trip and to help us with any issues. But again, the experts in each city will be experts in those cities. Any other questions? Any comments? So the trip is it's contingent on us getting about uh 16, 17 people. So we have 4 people that have booked so far, 2 couples that have booked. But once again, we can commit to, I've every expectation that it's going to go, but we will know um, once we cross that threshold of travelers. So again, pretty simple. And if anybody has any questions, of course, you can email me. There's an email link and a chance for us to a chance for me to get back to you if you have any questions. But again, let me know if there's any rooming issues you have or somebody you want to, you want to make sure that you roomed with. If they, if I have to keep an eye open for a booking from somebody who comes from another place. And of course, this trip is open to people who live anywhere, It doesn't have to just be people from Temple Beth Me, but we're hoping that, a good chunk of the people will be from our community.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
what's the deposit?
The deposit's 2,500. Okay. So
Per
uh,
person?
per person. Yeah, per person. So, yep.
Sorry, it's just hard with the
Yeah, no,
muting
no,
and
it's
stuff.
2,500 per person. Yep. Yep.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Well,
Who are the other couples?
uh, I don't think they've paid yet. I know the Wassermans are coming, but the couples that have paid, one of them, I don't think you know. The other one, I'll tell you. I'll tell you offline. But
Okay,
yeah, we're excited about uh the fact that I think again, if we have 12 or 14, 16 people from our synagogue goes, it's not as necessary that we have people from the outside. If we get to a point where, I see that we don't have enough people, we don't have enough interest, then I'll definitely have to do a little bit a harder job of trying to round up people from other places to come. So we'll let people know. But yeah, if you are interested, definitely the only way we know is if we get deposits from people. Okay. Well,
got
everybody,
it. Thank
I know that some people didn't come tonight because there was a concert at COC, which I did not know at the time. And a lot of people are at that concert. So I apologize. And this will be available on YouTube. We'll give the people the link so that they can watch it at their own discretion. But thank you everybody for being here, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Well, tomorrow night is Tot Shabbat, but next week Rick and Addie will be here for Shabbat or Friday night, and the religious school will be here. That's right, the 20th. I hope lead. All right, take care, everybody.
Bye. Good night, Rabbi.
Night.